So whenever we are using some data from outside, like we have downloaded it from somewhere, we have get it from somewhere. Okay, so you have to clean the data first. Otherwise, there might be a chance that the analysis will not be good. Okay, so data cleaning is a vital step in data analysis process. So missing value, there might be some missing value. Uh, you have to replace those missing values with some technique that we have already covered. Then the outlier detection, so there might be a chance the data contains some outliers, so you have to treat those outliers. How will be treating? There are different methods that you have to remove the outlier, or you can work with the outlier. So that depends. There are two types of outlier in spaces. One is potential outlier, one is recommended outlier. So in potential outlier, the researcher generally take those outliers and do the further analysis process. But in recommended outlier, for recommended outlier, the researcher actually remove the outlier from the data set. Okay. So in normality check, always you have to check the normality. Data is normal or not. If data is not normal, then you have to you have to use some technique to uh, make the data normal. So one technique is the Z-score method. So you have to standardize the data using the Z-score. So what is the formula of Z-score? What is the formula of Z? You also remember this one for interview purpose at least. If you're going for analyst profile interview, you have to remember all the BA1 part.
I think mean minus value divided by standardization.
Mean minus value divided by standard deviation. Yeah, x minus mu divided by sigma. Actually, x
Yes.
minus mu divided by sigma by root n. That's the Z score actual formula. Okay. So if you are using that formula to standardize the data, then or normalize the data. If data is not normal, then you have to use that formula to make the data standard or normal. Okay. Then we have covered the linear regression part. Okay. So linear regression as well as the interpretation part. So regression, anything like any analysis in SPSS is very easy. You all find that no? Just one click and you will get all the outputs. So that's very easy, but you have to interpret the result. What is the meaning of that R square? What is the meaning of adjusted R square? What is the meaning of Darby-Nordström statistics? What is the meaning of different ANOVA table? What do you mean by that ANOVA table? What actually the ANOVA table signifies? Okay. How to write the regression equation? Okay. Then how do you check the normality of the data? So the histogram plot, okay, the PP plot, right? These are all like the concepts all dependent on the multiple linear regression and the simple linear regression method. Then we have talked about the logistic regression process. So logistic regression, when do we do logistic regression? When do we do logistic regression? When the data is, when the dependent variable is categorical in nature, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yes, when the dependent variable is categorical in nature, we do a logistic regression. So if the dependent variable is categorical in nature and having two categories, then we do say it's a binary logistic regression. And if there are more than two categories, then we do say it's a multinomial logistic regression. Generally, we do binary logistic regression because most of the data contains uh, only two categories in the dependent variable part. Okay. Next, what we have taught. That was the thing, right? Three topics we have covered: data cleaning, simple and multiple linear regression, and the logistic regression. So today we'll be talking about factor analysis part. Okay. So you'll have the data, right? FIFA 2018 statistics. So this data will be using for factor analysis. Okay. So you can see in the data there are different factors, right? So uh, I can say goal score. First, always you have to read the data. How do I? My first question is that how do I understand that this data will be based for my factor analysis? Right? You have not like you have never asked this question. I didn't get this question from anyone. How do you understand this data will be suitable for my factor analysis, or this data will be suitable for my multiple linear regression? This data will be suitable for my cluster analysis. Anyone, like any idea? Data cleaning is one of the vital steps. Before that, the reading and understanding of the data is another vital thing. Are you agree with me?
Yes, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So first you have to like you get it from some source, that data source. Do you all know the from where you can get the data?
Yes,
Any data source?
government.data, there is one portal.
What type of data you get from there?
It's more related to education and geography, like that.
Okay, let me check that one. What is that? What is that? Ganesh?
Government.data.
Government data.
Gov.data.
Geo gov.data.
Yeah.
There is no right. Govt must be. No.
Just give me a minute. I will check.
Yeah. I'll tell you one source. There is one source called kaggle.com. Have you heard this one about this website?
Yeah.
Have you heard this
Can
website?
I
Yeah.
tell that website name?
Kaggle.com. I'll give you the link. No worries. So first you have to create an account. Just okay. Create one account in this website, and you can get uh, okay data dot. Okay, fine. We'll check that. So this is the most popular website, you can say, the kaggle.com. Okay. So if you go to the data section, then you'll find so many data sets. So here you will not be able to understand like the data, uh, what type of analysis you'll be doing with using the data. Okay. They just simply uploaded the data and with proper labeling and all. Okay. In few of the data you will find that the data is not labeled properly. Okay. So this is one data set. Suppose mobile price classification. Okay, so you can easily understand this. There will be some with the like the title of the data set. There might be a chance that there will be some classification problem you can do with this data set. Okay, what what do you understand from this? Wine reviews. What type of analysis can be done? Any wild guess? What type of analysis we do with the review section, review part, customer review? Huh? Not audible. Yeah, I'll tell that. Whatever the review part now, we always do text analysis. Text analysis. Have you heard about that analysis method? Text
No.
analysis. Yeah, suppose I'm telling you that you all write, you all have used Zomato, right? Zomato or Swiggy at least once.
Yes.
So there you can write your reviews, right? Food is good, food is not good, and different thing. Whatever you want to write, you can write over there. How do company do analysis of those data? You are not giving anything in numeric format, right? You are writing some text. Company will not have enough time to read all the customers feedback, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
How do you do that? How do company will do that? Company will just use the text analysis, text mining format of text analysis technique. Okay, so text analysis means what? Suppose you have written uh, the food is very good, the restaurant is very good, the delivery boy is very good. There are three sentences. Okay, and all the three sentence contains three words. What is that? Positive word, right? That is very good, very good, very good, or good, 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 right?
Yes.
So I'm telling you one simple technique of text mining. Text mining is very vital analytics technique. I'll tell you the simple technique. in the software in which they are feeding the text. Suppose I'm copying your review and I'm pasting it in somewhere in my text analysis software, okay, or where I'm doing the text analysis. There I find that there are three positive words you have written. That means I can easily say that you are somewhat satisfied. You are somewhat satisfied with my services. Okay, so how do I understand that this is a positive word? You all have heard about this term at least, word cloud.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. So in the text analysis software, we have fitted something in the word cloud format. Okay. So in the word cloud, we have written if someone is writing this word good, then just capture it as a positive word and the customer is satisfied. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is how something like going in the background of the analysis and text analysis will be done. Okay, right. So text analysis is a vital thing for customer review analysis, or customer feedback analysis, you can say. Right. So these are not our topics today. So we'll be doing text analysis. If you are interested, we can have one session also. Okay, we can do it using R or using Orange also. R Studio also you can use for text analysis, or Orange also for machine learning technique. You can use text learning. Okay, so this is one side you can from where you can download the data, and after that you have to read the data and you have to understand what type of analysis you'll be doing. So this is one vital thing, reading the data. Okay, another one site is data.wild. These two are very popular website. Here also you have to create your account. Okay, after that only you can download the data set. Okay, but I find Kaggle to be very user friendly, from where you can easily get the data. Data.wild is quite complicated, like it's not that much user friendly. What I find actually this is my perception. Okay, so I'll copy that and I'll give it to you. Right. Okay. Then yeah. So this is the data set we'll be talking about for factor analysis. So first you have to understand what are the what is the dependent variable in the data, and what are the other things will be considered as independent variable. Okay. So you can see like goal scored, then what are the other things? Goal position, then attempts, then on target, off target, block, corner. So what I can see, the goal score will be dependent on all the other variables, right? Can I say that?
Yes. Yeah.
Goal score,
Yes.
number of goals scored in the match, that is my dependent variable, and all the other things will be my independent variable. Okay, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the thing after what we find after reading the data, the data reading part and the understanding part. Then we will be doing the data cleaning part. This data is already clean. There is no missing values and all. So will not be no missing value. Uh, yeah, there is some missing value, but if you find that this is not actually the missing value. Okay, first goal scored at the time of the first goal scored. So at 12 minutes, the first goal has been scored. So if there is zero goal means what? There will be no time, no? So this is not a missing value. We will not be able to replace this value, so this will not be good. So what we can do, we will not be considering these values for this column or this variable for our analysis. It's not that much important. Okay. Time of the goal is like not that is not an independent factor for how many goals scored, right? How many free kicks are there, that is totally dependent on the number of goals scored. Okay, but what time the first goal has been scored, that is not dependent on the number of goals scored. Okay, That is the thing, right? Any doubt till now, or any questions do you have?
No.
Okay, so the next thing is that why do we do factor analysis? So factor analysis, it is a statistical technique that is used for reducing the large number of variables or factors you can. So there are, how many factors are there? How many factors? Still here, if we consider how many red card and yellow card, okay, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. 16 factors are there. If you want to do the regression analysis with this data, the number of goal score is dependent on other variables. So 16 independent variables, that is like very much complicated, no? Do you agree with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So if we want to reduce the number of factors from here, we'll be using factor analysis. So first, if you want to do the regression method, first we'll run factor analysis, then we'll do the regression. But in factor analysis, our aim is to reduce the number of factors. So if we reduce us from 16, if we reduce it to 6 variables or 6 factors, then we run the regression analysis. So it is very easy to uh, run the analysis process and also the interpretation part. Correct. That is what our aim. So factor analysis is a statistical technique to reduce the number of factors from a large number of measured variables. Okay. How many types of factor analysis are there? You know, what are the types of factor analysis? What are the types of factor analysis? You know, that is, there are two types, like exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. Have you heard these two terms?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Exploratory factor. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. These two types we had.
Yeah. So exploratory factor analysis is a data-driven factor analysis. So means what? We don't know how many factors will be there in the data. In layman term, we can say in exploratory factor analysis, we don't know how many factors will be there in the data. We'll just feed the data in the software and we'll be checking how many factors will be there. Okay. In confirmatory factor analysis, we already know how many factors will be there in the data, or we already want, like from 16 uh, variables, we want 6 factors. So already we are fixing some number. Okay, fixing the number of factors, right? That is confirmatory factor analysis, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the two types of factor analysis, main types of factor analysis. Then what is there? Yeah. Then okay, we'll run the factor analysis. Then we'll check other interpretation. There are different things like Bartlett's test of steadicity. You have heard about that. Correlation matrix, commonality, eigenvalue, factor loading, and scree plot. All the terms you might be familiar. So first thing is that open your SPSS. Okay. Then check. But next step is that you have to check whether the data is in which format, data file. Is it in CSV format or Excel format? So my data is in CSV format. So what I'll do, I'll go to file. If you want to write the step, you can write the step. If you want to write the step, then I'll go slow.
Yes. I am writing the steps.
Okay. So first you have to import the data. So for importing the data, go to file, import data, and whatever format your data is. My data is in CSV format, so I'll click on the CSV data, right? File, import data, and CSV data.
Okay.
Click on that, and uh, from uh, wherever you have kept your data file, just to go to that folder and just import the data. So yeah, this one, just open. I guess I have to close. No, okay, fine. So here always you have to check this one. Your first line contain the variable name, that is checked or not. Because my first line contain the header part, right? This is the thing. You have to always check. By default it will be checked, no worries. If it's not checked, you have to check that one. Okay.
Okay.
Other things, whatever it is, let it be. Just press okay. Just have patience, it will take some time. The data set is huge. Last time also I faced the problem. One second, let me move other format. Are you able to import the data?
No.
Let me check that. I don't know why it's not working. You're also facing the same issue, right?
Yes.
Let me check whether I have other data sets or not. Okay, I'm getting it now. Hopefully, yeah. Do one thing, just change the format of the data, okay? Do you know how to change the format? Since CSV format, just change it to XLSX format. Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, just change the format. Okay, format of the data, then try to import in this Excel format, this one. File import data, then Excel. Okay, so this is my data and data view screen, and if I go to the variable view, I'll find all the variables name. Okay, what type of variable it is, right? All done, then I'll start the analysis process.
Can you show how can we change the format?
Okay, so this was my CSV format data, right?
Yes.
So just I don't know what Excel you are using. Mine is 2007. So just go to save as and go to other format. Save as other format, right? Just rename it because already you have one file with the same name. Just rename it and then in the save as type, select this one, Excel workbook. Correct? Got it?
Yes, got it.
So I'll close this one and I'll go to here. So now I'll start the analysis process. So first step, you have to go to analyze. Okay. Right. Then you have to go to dimension reduction. Then factor. Right. Click on that factor. So what are the variables you want to take into consideration for factor analysis? The goals code I will not take. All the other independent variables I'll be taking. Ball position, attempt, on target, off target, block, corner, offside, then free kick, save, pass accuracy, passes, distance covered, foul, yellow card. What is that? I don't know. Have to check that one. Till red card. I'll be taking all the variables and just click on this one. So all the variables will be taken for factor analysis. Okay, now click on descriptive. All done, right? Now click on descriptive. So I want the initial solution. Then I want KMO Barclay. Right. KMO Barclay, I want. Then I want coefficients. Then I want reproduce correlation matrix. Okay, then continue. This one is done for descriptive. Then extraction. So there are different types of factor analysis. One is principal component analysis and another one is common factor analysis. Mainly there are two types. One is exploratory factor analysis, another one is confirmatory factor analysis. But if we go into detail, there are two methods. One is principal component analysis, another one is common factor analysis. Okay. Generally, we do principal component analysis. Okay. Because in principal component analysis, our main aim is to reduce the number of variables. We have to get a minimum number of variables from a large number of variables. There are a large number of variables and we want to get the minimum number of variables. That is what the aim of principal component analysis. So principal component analysis I am taking. By default, it will always be in principal component method. Okay. Correlation matrix we want. Whatever the default part we all want that. And next is scree plot. Scree plot I want. Right. So eigenvalue by default it's greater than 1. We will not be changing that. So always want by default it should be greater than 1. Right, all done. Yep. Extraction part.
Yes.
Then press continue. Then the rotation. How do you know by rotation? How many rotation are there? You know. We heard about that orthogonal varimax rotation and oblique rotation. Have you heard these two terms? Have you heard these two terms? Orthogonal varimax rotation and oblique rotation. At least reply please. Yes or no?
No.
Yeah, got it. So this is orthogonal varimax rotation and this is the oblique rotation. Can you able to see my screen? It's clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is orthogonal varimax rotation. So suppose all the variables are situated like this only. Here some variables and here some here some factor, here some variable and here some variable, and this is factor, this axis represents the factor 1, this is factor 2. Okay, so this one, my look at my cursor, this variable, for which factor you want to take into consideration, for factor 2 or for factor 1, for which one, or for this variable, for which factor you will be taken into consideration, for factor 2 or for factor 1, because from factor 1 also it's almost similar distance, and for factor 2 also it's almost similar distance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So this is a critical analysis, you can say, for which factor you'll be taking this particular variable into consideration. For this only, we are using orthogonal rotation. We are just rotating the axis. While rotating the axis, in the initial situation, what all the four angles will be in 90-degree position, right? All the four angles here, there are four angles created, right?
Yes.
Four angles will be 90-degree situation. So in orthogonal rotation, if we rotate the axis, after rotation also there will be 90-degree for all the four angles. Getting my point?
Yes. Yeah.
Rotation will be 90-degree. That is what orthogonal rotation is. And our rotation main aim is what? After the rotation is done, can you now see that this all the variables will be for factor 2, right? This is now factor 2, right?
Right.
Clearly,
Yeah.
I can say that all the variables now will come under factor 2. Now I can clearly say that all these variables will come under factor 1. There is no confusion on that thing. So that is what our aim for rotation method. For oblique rotation, what? Initially all will be in a 90-degree position, but after rotation, the angle will not be same. Some angle will be suppose 60, some angle will be 120, like that. As per the position of the variable, we'll just simply rotate. That's it. Got it? Our
Yes.
main
Yes.
aim is our main
Yes.
aim is to our main aim is to just put the variables in a particular factor. That is what our aim. So that is why you just simply rotate the axis. Will not think about 90-degree situation here in oblique rotation. Got it, everyone, right?
Yes, got it.
Yeah. So here generally we do use Varimax rotation. Generally, here we'll be taking Varimax rotation and the rotation solution we want. Let's continue and scores. Save as variables. It is required. Display factor score coefficient matrix. If you want, you can check that. This is very important. Save as scores. Save as variables. Right. That's fine. Continue. Any options? No, we don't want to change anything in the options. Okay, just cancel it and press OK. Got it, everyone?
Yes. Got Yes. it.
Yeah. So this is what the correlation matrix. You all know about the correlation matrix. We already talked about this one in the regression part, right? The correlation value is greater than 0.8. That means what? Multicollinearity present, right? Greater than 0.8, right? Multicollinearity present for those variables, correct? Correlation value lies between -1 to +1. So -1 means negatively correlated, highly negatively correlated, and +1 means highly positively correlated. So you can say that, and diagonally all will be 1, right?
One. Yeah.
Yes. That's it about the correlation matrix. next important, this is very important, the KMO-Bartlett test. Okay. So what do you mean by that KMO-Bartlett test? KMO, it's already written here, right? KMO, Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin, that's the full form, measure the sampling adequacy. So what is sampling adequacy? This is a very fancy term, right? What do you mean by that sampling adequacy? So it determines whether the response given with the sample are adequate or not. Response given by the sample are adequate or not. We have taken some responses, right? Suppose we are doing some analysis with customer feedback data, like different factors. Let's just take like insurance company. We all are most of your friends are working on the insurance sector, right? HDFC Life or Empower Placement. Sorry, the internship. Suppose insurance companies are taking the feedback from the customer. Okay, are you happy with the company? Rate it in 1 to 10 scale. Okay, so different factors will be there. Are you happy with the company? Are you happy with the policy? Are you happy with whatever policy you have? Are you happy with the variety of policy is having the company is having the variety of policy? Are you happy with that? Are you happy with the agent or not? So there are different variables, and this KMO-Bartlett test, we run the factor analysis with those data. So KMO-Bartlett will help you understand the response given by the respondent is adequate or not, right? So there are some limit. Obviously, it's a value. The value is representing something. Is there will be some limit. So if the value is the value actually the Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin, the KMO, the statistician, you can say, he recommended that the value should be greater than 0.5, or minimum it should be greater or equal to 0.5. Value minimum should be 0.5, right? If you want to write all those, you can write, because I don't think it's really difficult if you want to get the interpretation of all those things. You'll not be able to find in Google and all. It's handy, you will not able to find everything. Okay. The KMO value is recommended to be minimum 0.5. Okay. Value between 0.7 to 0.8 is acceptable. And if the value is greater than 0.9, that means it's having a super value, or highly accepted, you can. Got it?
Yes.
So this is what KMO. Then comes the Bartlett's test of sphericity. Okay. So it is also like another indication of the strength of relationship among the variable. Okay. So you already can see it follows the chi-square distribution, right? There are some chi-square value, then degree of freedom, then the significance value. Got it? So chi-square distribution, there is some significance is dependent on the Bartlett's test of sphericity. Means what? There will be some hypothesis, right? So the null hypothesis will be variables are independent of each other. And Bartlett's test of sphericity helps in understanding whether variables are independent of each other or not. So null hypothesis will be variables are independent of each other, and alternate hypothesis will be variables are not independent of each other. Okay. Got it? So here, what is that? Variables are independent of each other, or variables are not independent of each other. If we consider alpha value is 0.05, then what? This is a p-value, right? Alpha greater than p means what? You have to reject h naught. So variables are not independent of each other. Got it?
Accept H not, yes.
Yes. So this is what KMO Barclay. Then you have the commonality. What do you mean by commonality? How do you find that commonality and eigenvalue? Commonality is the amount of variance that each variable shares, right? For each variable, the factor. I'll go to that. Yeah. This one, component matrix. So if I um, want to calculate the commonality for ball position, how do you find that?
Square of that
0.828 plus square
0.82
of point minus
plus
294 plus square of 0.141 till 6 factors. There are 6 factors, right?
yes.
Yeah. So this is how we calculate the commonality. Commonality means the variance each variable shares. Okay. And eigenvalue, the
Vertical square.
yes, eigenvalue represents the total variance explained by each factor. So 0.828 plus square plus 0.882 square plus 0.69609 square, like that till all the variables you have to take. Okay, this is what is eigenvalue, right? Got it. So from this table also, total variance explained. Total variance explained also, you can find how many factors will be there. So there are 16 variables so we have taken during the analysis process. Now we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 factors. And the 6 factors actually explaining what? 71.429% of your data set or of your objective, you can say. I had 16 variables. 16 variables were actually explaining me 100%, right? See this one, 100%, right?
Yes, yeah.
But with the help of these 6 variables, already explaining 71%. 6 factors, sorry, not 6 variables, 6 factors. So I can run the analysis process. 71% explained by 6 factors means that is very good. We will not be taken all the 16 variables now. We'll be taking these 6 factors for further analysis process. Okay. So this is what the total variance explained table signifies. Next is scree plot. Scree plot actually by visualization we can say how many factors will be there. In this total variance table also we can find how many factors will be there. Scree plot also we find how many factors will be there. So okay. So how do we check that?
Above 1. Eigenvalue above 1.
Yeah. So from which point the eigenvalue actually comes below 1. Okay, we remember that one in the analysis process when we are doing all the steps. We have taken the eigenvalue should be 1, right? Should be greater than 1, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so when it's decreasing from 1, at which point, till that point will be taken for number of factors. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If we zoom it,
Yes.
it is actually seeing. I'm seeing that it's exactly at 1. But if we find it, it will be above 1 actually. Okay, right. So there are 6 factors from this scree plot. Also, we can understand. Clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Then this is for uh, an important thing. rotated component matrix. Yeah, rotated component matrix. So this was the component matrix, initial component matrix. Okay, so after rotation, that is my main concern. After rotation, because after rotation only we'll be able to find the proper result. Okay, so I can fix the limit. Here the value starts from 0.283 and still going on in some value. Okay, I can fix the value and I can say I can understand which variable will be come under which factor. Suppose I am taken the limit. I've taken the limit 0.4. Are you getting my point? 0.4 is the limit. Okay. So for factor 1, whatever the values will be above 0.4, that variable will be considered for factor 1. So how many I find? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this 5 variable will be in factor 1 because the value is above 0.4. So first this one will be in what? Factor. This ball position will be in factor 2 because for factor 2 only the value is 0.4, above 0.4, right? Are you getting it or not? Am I
Yes.
audible? Yeah, so actually researcher do take some value into consideration. This is the limit, you can say. Generally it takes 0.4 or 0.5. Okay. The value which will be the rotated component matrix, the value should be greater than 0.4. That variable will be taken into that factor. The ball position, the point, if we say all the factors, and for factor 2 only, it's the value is greater than 0.4. Okay. For atoms, for factor 1 only, the value is greater than 0.4, right? Like that, it will be taken. There is one option you can directly represent the data. I have not done that actually. So this is what the concept is. Okay, that's the thing. There's no other thing is not that much important. The main thing is done. Any confusion in that? Any confusion in factor analysis?
No.
Now we'll go for cluster analysis. Can I open this one? It's small customer, the very small data. Okay, I want to, here my aim is what? I want to segment the customer. What is the use of cluster analysis? When do you use cluster analysis? Cluster analysis is used for, in marketing term, you can say, used for market segmentation or the customer segmentation. Right. If you are going to a supermarket, the supermarket will focus on which customer. Obviously, the customer which is coming frequently, who is spending more, right? Are you getting my point? Suppose you are going to a supermarket, you have brought only one Lay's ka packet. Okay, and someone is going to the supermarket and brought something which is worth rupees 3,000, and you have brought only 20 rupees Lay's ka packet. So whom should the supermarket focus on? Whom should the supermarket focus on? Which customer? You or the other guy? Obviously the other guy, because he has spent a lot, right? And he has brought something like some household thing for 3,000 rupees. So there might be a chance that he will come again in the upcoming future, right? And you have brought only one Lay's ka packet, that means there is no guarantee that you will come to that supermarket again. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah. So the supermarket should focus on different customers, on different on the basis of different techniques. Okay. So with the help of these data, we'll be actually segmenting the customer. So on the basis of age, we can say we can segment. On the basis of annual income also we can say, and on the basis of spending score actually it is. So on 1 to 100 scale means the spending score is high means the spending amount is also high. The simple thing. 99 is a spending score means spending a lot more money. Correct? So on the basis of this, how can we segment the customer? That is, we'll be using the cluster analysis method. Okay. So have you heard that term dendrogram? Dendrogram, have you heard that term? Don't say no.
Yes, yes, we had.
Yes.
It's used to show how does the family of the data it shows.
Mhm. Yeah. So there are actually different methods of cluster analysis. One method is hierarchical cluster analysis, and another one is K-mean cluster analysis. Okay. So dendrogram is actually uh, the output of hierarchical clustering. This is what the dendrogram is. Right. On the dendrogram also is the visual representation. From there also you can understand how many cluster will be there. Got it? So suppose this is one data set. So how many clusters are there? What do you find here? There are three clusters, right? Three different colors and
Yes.
yes. Got it, right? This is what the visual kind of thing for cluster analysis. Dendrogram is for hierarchical clustering, and generally we do use k-mean clustering method. So for clustering, like conducting of the clustering analysis, there are different steps. First, you have to formulate the problem, but you have to understand your objective. So here I want to segment my customer base on the basis of age, annual income, and their spending amount. This is what my problem. Okay. Then you have to understand the method, which method of clustering you will be using. Be using hierarchical clustering method or a k-mean clustering method. Okay. Then you have to, for hierarchical clustering, it's similar to, already we have talked about exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis, right? So in hierarchical clustering, it's similar to exploratory factor analysis. You don't know how many cluster will be there. Your software will analyze the data and that will give you the number of cluster. Okay. So similar to hierarchical clustering and exploratory factor analysis, the concept is almost similar, right? Are you getting my point? Another one is
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Another one is the k-mean clustering. So k-mean clustering and the confirmatory factor analysis is almost similar. K-mean clustering, we already want how many cluster will be there. So here I can say that how many data points I have. I have 200 data points. So in 200 data points, 200 customers means 200 data points in 200 customers. So 200 customers, I want to segment these 200 customers into three clusters. Okay. Customer is who is having low potential of buying, one is medium, one is high. So I already have decided that I want three clusters. Then we'll be using k-mean clustering. Got it? Got it, right?
Yeah.
So generally we go for k-mean clustering for understanding of huge data set. Hierarchical clustering is generally we use for small number of data. Okay. So k-mean clustering is more statistically significant. Okay, then do one thing, just import the data in CSV format. So this is my data. I go to variable view. So it's already been properly imported. Okay. Now what we'll do? Importing is done, right?
Yeah, done.
Go to analyze them. Analyze, then classify. Okay. Then came in clustering. So variables you have to take age, annual income, and spending. Number of cluster we want, how many? 3. Okay. Okay, I miss one thing in the factor analysis part. I'll come to that. Just let me finish this one. Okay, taken all the variables. So this is just simple. How many iteration you want? By default, SPS will say you take 10 iteration. Let it be. Continue. The saved distance from the cluster center. There are different methods, right? Euclidean distance, what distance, Euclidean distance or what distance. These two terms you have heard about it, right? What distance is the simple distance up to cluster member. An Euclidean distance in the two-dimension space. Euclidean distance? How do you calculate? In the two-dimension space, how do I calculate the distance between 2 points? One point is an x1 comma y1, and one point is x2 comma y2. Then x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square under root, right? This is how we find the two-dimensional space, the distance between 2 points. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I right? This is similar
Yes.
to Euclidean distance is similar to the distance between 2 points. How do we find 2 points in the two-dimension space? So cluster membership also we want. Continue. In options, we want initial cluster solution. ANOVA table we don't want. Okay, continue. Yes, okay. So we already have defined, like we want three clusters. So there are 3 clusters. This is what the initial cluster solution is. For cluster 1, the initial cluster center is 32. Okay. So go to that. There are different values, right? 32 from starting from, what is the minimum value here? 99, 18 I find. 70, maximum value 70. Maximum value is 70. So this is age, right? So here for cluster 1, for age, the cluster center is 32, cluster 2 is 35, and cluster 3 is 64. Like that, the cluster center is defined here. Okay. So for each iteration, the cluster center has been changed. This is what the meaning of iteration. They will iterate in the background, and finally they will decide what will be the best cluster center. Okay. So this is what the final cluster center is. This is the initial cluster after the iteration process. Final cluster center. Look at that. This got changed. Initially it was 32, 35, 64. Now 40, 29, and 47. Okay. Next is the number of cases in each cluster. How many values are there? Total 200, right? In the first cluster, we have got 38 customer. In the second cluster, we have got 77. And third cluster, we got 85 customer. There is no missing value. Okay. Now we have already defined means the customer, how many customers will be there in each segment. right? So now my aim is that here the annual, uh, sorry, the spending score. Look at the spending score. Cluster center is 19 for first cluster. Okay, second cluster is 75 and third cluster is 42. Spending score high in which cluster? Cluster number 2, right? And cluster number 2 is having 72, 77 customers. So according to these two, using these two final cluster center and the number of cases in each cluster, what will be my interpretation? As this second cluster customer is spending more, then we'll be focusing on these 77 customers more, right? Then we'll be focusing on this 85. Then we'll be focusing on this 38. Correct? Getting my point?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, this is what the simple cluster analysis.
Hmm.
Okay. So, any doubt till now? Any doubt till now? I'm closing all. Next, we'll go to the basics of RFM analysis. Everyone here will be taking marketing as major, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the type of data for RFM analysis. The quantity purchase, the invoice date, the unit price of the product, and the customer ID, and the country. Leave that on. Country is not that much important. So these four: quantity, invoice, and these three actually: quantity, invoice date, unit price, and another one is that invoice number. Okay, this four column actually important for for RFM analysis. So what is RFM? Can anyone tell me the full form? This is also one type of customer segmentation. Okay. So RFM means R means the recency, F means the frequency, and M means the monetary value. Okay. So we'll be segmenting the customer on the basis of the recency, means how recently the customer has purchased the product. Okay. Then frequency, how frequently a customer purchases a product, and the monetary value, how much a customer is spending for buying the product. Getting it? This is what, how recently a customer has made a purchase, how frequently does a customer make a purchase, and monetary is how much money does the customer spend. Okay. On the basis of this, we'll be segmenting the customer. Okay. So forget about this one now. F and M, forget about these two, only focusing on the recency part. So whom do you focus more? A customer who has bought a product 2 years back, or a customer who has bought a product just 2 days back? 2 years back, a customer have bought a product from your store. You are the store manager. Okay. 2 years back. And after that, he or she has not visited your shop again. And recently, 2 days back, I went to your shop and I have purchased something. So whom do you focus more? Obviously, who has purchased the recent one, right? So
Yes.
recency, yes. So recency is one factor of segmenting the customer. Another one is that frequency now. Okay. suppose I have purchased a product 5 years back. Okay, after means 5 years back, I have purchased for the first time from your shop. After that, I have uh, purchased a product 2 years back, and after that, I have purchased a product 2 months back. Okay, so what I can see from this data, every 2 years, someone is purchasing. This particular guy is purchasing in every 2 years. Another guy is purchasing from your shop every month. So whom do you focus more? Obviously, the customer who is purchasing frequently, right? Means who is purchasing every month. You'll be giving some discount to him because he is your frequent customer. Okay. There is no guarantee that I am purchasing in every 2 years. That doesn't have any guarantee that I'll come after 2 years again. Correct. And if someone is purchasing in every month, that means after 5 or 6 months, 5 or 6 months continuously, I'm seeing that every month he is coming. So there is a chance that this guy will come next month again. Okay, so that is what the frequency matters here in customer segmentation. Then the monetary value. So 2 years back, let's go back to the first example. 2 years back, I purchased a product for 3,000. Okay, and 2 months back, someone has purchased a product of worth rupees 5,000. Okay, so or else go back to the second example. In every 2 years, I do purchase a product of 5,000, and every month that guy is purchasing a product of worth rupees 1,000. Okay, so whom do you focus more? Every 2 years you are getting 5,000 from one customer, and every month you are getting 1,000 from one customer.
Every month, 1,000.
Yes, obviously. So this is how the monetary value depends on customer segmentation. I hope it's clear now, right? So these are a few marketing terms. Champions means what? Brought the most recent, frequent, and have spent most money. All will be in high score. Okay, the RFM score for this particular person, champion, who is a champion customer, all will be high. Okay, loyal customer spending a good amount means that this is the average kind of thing. The potential customer or potential loyalist, then the recent customer and the promising customer. There are different marketing terms. Okay, you can this is the kind of segmentation they are doing using the RFM score. RFM value, actually it's a score value. Okay, I'll come to that. Okay. So recency. This is the if we calculate manually recency, how do you calculate that? Recency means today's date. Suppose I'm doing the calculation today. Okay, I have this customer data. I'm doing the calculation today. So recency means how recently a customer have purchased. So today's date minus the invoice date, right? It will give me what? How many days back you have made the purchase, or this customer have made the purchase, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. If the days is less, that means the customer have bought the product in recent time. Okay. So this is how if we calculate manually the recency. Okay. Then frequency. So count of invoice. Look at this one. I'll go to invoice, then I'll count the invoice. For a customer who is having the frequent purchase, his invoice number will be same. See this one. This customer have made the purchase for 2 times. Okay. Different dates. See this one. Invoice date what? 5/6/11, then 8/24/11. Okay. So this one 550461, and again I have not find any similar in these two. But inverse date is same. In the same date only they have brought two different things. Product is different here right now. Okay, so if we count the number of invoice, That means what? How frequently the customer is purchasing. We can find that. Correct? Next is the monetary value. Okay. So monetary value is what? The unit price and the quantity the customer brought. So this quantity into unit price, right? Customer had bought 0.82 quantity. Sorry, 0.8. 8 is the unit price and brought the quantity of 3906. The total amount, how much amount he has spent. I can just multiply this to these two and I can easily get this one. Monetary value, how much he spent. So this will give me the monetary value. So there will be some values, right? How do we, next step is to find the RFM score. Okay. I'm getting it. I'll give an example. Suppose for, I'll take 5. This is one value. Give me some time. I'll take 5. This is what the value I'm getting. The recency value is 2301 days, 5621 days, like that. Okay. The frequency is count of inverse means customer is having a count of 1253. Total number of how frequently the customer purchase 1253 times the customer have purchased, right? The monetary value is suppose okay, this is the value I'm getting. After that, my next aim is to code them or rank them. Okay, how do I rank it? So first understand here from all of these, all of the calculation part, what is my minimum value and what is the maximum value. Okay, so minimum value is 562, right? Sorry, 255, correct? What is the maximum value here? 5632, right?
Yes.
I just simply make one bin. So I'll make 0 to, so I can make the bin from 0 to 6000 for my understanding purpose. Right?
Yes. 0 to 6,000.
Okay. Now 0 to 6000 divided into 5 bins. If I divide 6000 into 5, what will be the answer? 1200, right? Am I doing right or wrong?
Yes.
48012 to 6000.
6,000.
Yes. So this will be the first bin will be ranked as 1, second bin will be ranked as 2, third bin will rank as 3, fourth bin will rank as 4, and this one is 5. Okay. So this is the ranking part. Bin ranking, you can say. Okay. Just shift it. This is the bin ranking. Suppose this is your ARD score, F score, M score. Correct? This is the value RFM. These all are the value RFM value. Okay, this is the score now. This is the score I want. What will be the score for the first one? This will define the score. So 2301 lies in which bin? Second bin, right?
2.
Yeah. So this will be 2. Next one for F1253. 1253, that is also in 2. 5632, that is 5.
5.
Correct. 5621, that is 5. 1, 2, 5, that is 3. Like that, all we have to rank. So 2, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5 means 1, 2, 3, 5 means 2. 5, this is
1.
1,
3.
1, 3, 3.
3. 4.
4,
3.
4, 3, 1. Okay, now the score is simply I'll add into 100, 2 into 10, add into 100, f into 10, m into 1. Like that we have to uh, do the scoring part. So add into 100 means what? 200. Okay, f into 10 plus f into 10 means 2 into 20. So 220 I got, and m into 1 means what? 225 is the score, right? This is what RFM score. Okay, 225. Next one is 513. Next one is 242. Next one is 133. Next one is 431. Correct? Now you tell me on which customer you will be focusing more. This one, right? Among the
5
five,
primary.
Yes.
on the second customer you will be focusing more because of the high RFM score. Okay, this one, so all the process we have done manually. You can use some Excel formulas also, and you can do it. In Excel also you can do it, but that is also a manual kind of thing. You are using Excel formulas and all. If function and lookup function and all, with the help of these two, you can easily uh, find the RFM score. That will also be some time consuming if you are having huge data and all. So you can we can do it in using SPSS also. Okay. So and we can also do it using some machine learning tools. In Orange also we can do that, or RapidMiner. Okay. We'll be doing it in machine learning classes. We'll be doing this RFM analysis using the machine learning tool. Okay. The concept is clear, right? Is there any doubt in the concept of RFM analysis? This is how we do segment the customer. Any doubt till now? Okay. Okay, that's it for today.